Tonight, yes, mainly it's a launch for the ACON magazine. It's also an exhibition of all the photographic works. And the reason why we chose Unmasked is it's actually a statement. A statement that, yes, there's so many Asian gay men who are not, we don't hear their stories. We don't see them in magazines. We don't see them in the general media. And we wanted to actually make a statement that there are those beautiful people, that all these everyday amazing people with so much courage that is in our community. And we want to encourage this kind of addressing of that silence and actually to hear those voices being privileged in printed media. So yes, it's about visibility. It's about claiming that space that we are here, and that it's important for us to be a part of just the general dialogue in the multicultural community. On a bigger level as well, it's also just to touch on all these multicultural, multi-faith communities. And as we see it tonight, there's all this talent. There's all these dance performances and culture performances that really represents and says what is Asian and what is Asian gay. Oftentimes we hear people saying that I can't mix my Asian and my gay identity together, because sometimes we believe that Asian traditional cultures are very conservative and they don't actually see sexuality as something that you openly discuss about. That may be the case, but the acceptance, the love, the finding of that, I guess families acceptance, tolerance is still there. So it might be negotiated in a different way. It might not be like, hey, I'm gay and I'm proud and I'm going to go to a gay bar. But it might be actually that, yes, my son, he's not getting married, but he's happy. So it's through kind of very subtle ways that we see how two cultures can, well, the Asian culture and the sexuality or the gay culture can come together in one person. Yes, it's a lot of conflict, but at the same time, it's also filled with resilience. A lot of this people attribute it to the consumer market. So what is deemed as attractive in this society, it's oftentimes shaped by the media, and we see a lot of white representation. We see a lot of certain bodies and certain looks that are deemed more acceptable and deemed more kind of attractive, and that's fine. But what that does is some ways also it cuts out certain representations from other people. And the problem with that is it silences people. And what we're trying to do here is actually to say, hey, there's all these diverse communities out here, and it's an amazing, amazing little space that we inhabit. We might not be able to be in like main media, but that's fine. We want to create something that is our voice. It is by us, from us. Yeah. Maybe it's going to change. Maybe the whole dynamics of racial representation and culture might change. So a lot of times people say this is sexual hierarchy, so certain people with certain looks are more attractive than other people, and I mean that's fine, we're not here to change people's preferences, but actually just to say that there's all this diversity, have a look at it, come and see it, and just kind of be present with it. There is an element of that, certainly in the gay culture where certain attributes are given more preference over others, and we hear a lot of quite racist remarks, especially on online media, like something like no Asians, or kind of, I don't like, slanty-eyed guys, and it's still seen as okay to do it online. So we want to challenge that element. We want to say that, hey, it's actually not okay to say those kind of things. However you want to frame it, it's negative, and it actually affects other people and how they feel. So if you want to actually encourage a community of care, that has to go. And one way of doing that is not actually telling them you can't say that, but actually to challenge where that preconception comes from, where they think that. So one way of doing that is through this media, is through stories and magazines that really show the personal narrative and how that actually says, hey, this actually hurts me. This actually affects me. If you were in my position, how do you feel? If you were someone who's just recently coming out, how do you feel about that? We have a lot of talent in the community, and what we're trying to do is actually providing an avenue, providing a platform for people to be able to showcase those talents, be it the designers, be it also the models. And the models that you saw today, they are everyday people. They're part of the community, they're not actually paid models per se, and that's one of the beauty of this. It's a community-led project, and we want to speak, and we want to be visible, we want to be represented in the main media. So the main thing we push for the ACON to be on internet is because you can reach this huge market out there, this huge numbers of different communities. If you were just to have a hard copy, some people can bring it home if they're out to their family, but for those who are not out, they can't actually bring this hard copy thing, and their parents might find out. So one of the best ways to capture this kind of audience is actually to put it online, to be downloaded. And that also, we break down all these national boundaries. So it can go anywhere else, Southeast Asia, East Asia, wherever. And that is going to reach this huge population of people who doesn't really have necessarily this kind of stories to in some ways inspire, in some ways to start a sort of a dialogue, a movement within themselves, then within their families, their loved ones, then in the community for change, for acceptance.